Deep dive segment where we look at one company with a razor focus, and Hiral is joining us for that. We're talking about Tata Motors this morning. They're facing challenges amidst weaker sales and high inventory levels. Hiral Dadia joins us for a deep dive.
Thanks. Absolutely. If you see, there is some bit of a roadblock that's coming in for Tata Motors. Let's look at the three aspects that are going wrong. Firstly, we are seeing erosion that's happening in the EV market share with regards to where the India business of Tata Motors go. Moving on to the second one, it's Jaguar EV transition. Now, that is what is impacting the business, because what's happening is that they've become dormant in terms of where petrol engines go, and Land Rover, which is still selling, is not able to offset that kind of a downtick. And thirdly, if you talk about the PV business, that's suffering because of competition with the kind of models that are coming in. But let's quickly deep dive into all of these aspects. If you talk about their EV share, right? Now, in terms of Tata Motors, it's come down from 62.9% in June to November. It's come down to 48.8%. But with this EV fall, who is the one who's taking this market share? It's not even M&M, because earlier everyone was thinking that probably the new variants of M&M were coming in, but it's JSW MG Motor which is gaining, because from 20.3 they've come up to almost 36.4. M&M is still in that 6% range, and with their new models they will come in even further, so you can expect it to go down below 48% as well. So below that 50% market share is what's happened in terms of the EV sales. Now, who's winning? If you talk about Tata Punch EV, in terms of the segments as well, their compact SUV has been priced at around 9.99 to 14.29. That's what that segment looks like. In the mid-size SUV, you have the Curve EV, which is priced in that 17.49 to 21.99. And if you see in terms of MG Comet, their small car is in that 5 to 9.75 lakh range. But what's the positive over there is that in terms of the EV batteries, MG is taking payments on EMI basis, whereas a company like a Tata Motors or an M&M is charging them upfront, right? So that is one of the major reasons why people are preferring MG. And it's not only for Comet, for their other models as well. So these are the models that we're looking at in terms of MG, the second one being a Windsor. Moving on, why is JLR losing steam? Firstly, you have globally SUVs who are overtaking the sedan business, right? So that is why Jaguar has been a downer so far. On number two, Land Rover is unable to offset the Jaguar degrowth because people are still preferring SUVs. Jaguar, as we know, does not have any SUVs. And they are going dormant in the biggest market, which is the UK, because they are moving to electric vehicles. So they have no production. So supply chain has become a major concern for a Jaguar. And if you talk about the aluminium crunch, that has also hit Land Rover sales in the second quarter of FY25. Moving from there on, if you see in terms of the JLR sales fall, it's a little more than 60% since 2019. So that's the kind of numbers that we're talking about in terms of the fall that we've seen with regards to where JLR sales go. And if you talk about the PV business, now they've failed in terms of the upgrades to enthused buyers, because what's happening is competition is coming up with newer models, whereas you have Tata Motors, which is just upgrading the existing models, right? And if you talk about the Curve, that is actually built on the same platform as Nexon. So there is there's no newness that's coming in terms of new models. And their upgraded variants are also still lag behind in terms of competition. So these are a few of the reasons why PV upgrades are failing. And safety has become no longer a USP. It's Maruti Dzire and Hyundai which have come up with 6 airbags. So multiple factors that we are considering with regards to where consumers go. And if you talk about the dual CNG, that's not a USP, because Exter has that as well. So that's about where the PV business goes. Now, moving on to the new SUVs in 24. Hyundai, you have a Creta, Venue, Kia Sonet, as well as Kia Seltos. These are the ones that have come in. XUV 3XO, Thar, Tata Curve. With all of this, the models with regards to other brands have been more and compelling, whereas if you talk about Tata Motors, nothing enthuses them. Now, if you talk about the domestic car sales, that has been on a decline as well in terms of the volumes, though their market share has somewhat remained the same. If you go to the next slide as well, that will tell you. But in terms of the numbers, they have been dwindling. It's come down to almost 42,000 units in the month of November. At some point in time, October was higher only because of the festive season. Moving from the domestic car sales, let's quickly look at the financials. Now, in terms of the financials as well, they have been seeing some bit of a topsy-turvy ride, but the margins have been pretty okay in the first half so far at 13%. We did see a 14.3 in FY24, but does not seem like they will be able to get back to that number as well, taking into consideration the combination between JLR as well as the domestic business. So that's going to be something that we need to wait and watch. Now, what lies ahead? This is important. One, the demerger of Tata Motors in India, that's going to be crucial from here on to watch out for. On number two, if you see in terms of the net debt-free status at group level, how long they are able to continue this is going to be absolutely important. Moving from there on, the high competition in the EV business from Maruti, Hyundai and M&M. Because 2024, to the probably beginning of 25, there could be some hiccups, but the new variants of Tata Motors that are lined up, Sierra, that is something that could probably help them survive on that part. And Jaguar EV only strategy is a shot in the dark because petrol vehicles are on a back burner right now. This is a dark horse probably or not is what we need to wait and watch and see. And lack of new nameplates is what is making the India PV business suffer as well for a Tata Motors. So a lot of negatives, but as mentioned, Harrier EV, Safari EV and Sierra to break the cover in 2025, and whether that will come to the rescue with regards to Tata Motors, that's the only in fact thing that the consumers are waiting for, and that is what will aid the financials.
All right.